Awesome. So I'm here today with Robert with
Travel Benefits by Design.
Travel Benefits by Design. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, we have a travel agency, so we get to do all kinds of fun things. Get to go see all kinds of fun places in the world and just all those unique little locations.
Mm-hmm. And then you put travel packages
We
together
put
from other
travel
people?
packages together, whether it be for honeymoons, destination weddings, family reunions, celiac, special medical type of groups,
Nice.
golf trips, you name it, we can put it together.
So you get to go see these places before you put the trips
A lot
together.
of times,
What
yes.
does that do for you and the packages you put together?
Well, it gives me the confidence that it's going to deliver what I want for my clientele. It gives me that quality control.
Nice.
And it's one thing to look on the internet and go to an internet site and see a pretty picture.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get there, that pretty picture is not really the right picture. And I remember back this was in 2000, the internet was just coming on.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out, my family and I were going down to Corpus Christi just for family getaway.
Mm-hmm.
And we were looking on, trying to find a hotel, and it said ocean front. So when we got there, it was not ocean front. The only way you could see the ocean is if you craned your neck around the building in front of it, and then you could barely see the water, and it really wasn't the ocean, it was the bay.
Okay.
And at that time of year, the bay was filled with jellyfish.
Ooh.
So there was no swimming in the water. We had to drive 10 miles to get to North Padre Island to even be able to get in the water. And so that's kind of, while that's not when we started the travel agency, that's kind of one of those things that precipitated it.
Yeah.
Being able to do what's right for the clientele.
Nice. So you meet with the hotel owners, you meet with the people who do any tours, things like
The tours,
that?
operators, a lot of times, these are special relationships that we've built.
Mm-hmm.
I just had actually they were first anniversary trip, and they were going down to Jamaica, to Montego Bay, put them in a butler suite, had it all set up for them. But then I had one of my good contacts, a cab driver, pick them up, take them over to the Rastafarian village on a day when they weren't even running any tours at the Rastafarian village,
Mm-hmm.
and do a private tour for them.
Nice.
And when they came back, they go, we had such an amazing time. And she said, we loved the Rastafarian village. And then she looked at me and she goes, you pulled some strings for us, didn't you? And I go, yeah, I did.
Nice.
Just to make sure, it was perfect for them.
Very cool.
And doing all those little touches. When we had a honeymoon couple a couple years ago, in talking to them, they loved Irish whiskey and
Mm-hmm.
Irish music. So of course we went to Ireland, but we got them membership into the Irish Whiskey Society,
Oh, wow.
and that was part of their honeymoon package. Others, that they loved rum and loved coffee, and so we sent them again back to Jamaica. Jamaica's one of my favorite spots, if you couldn't tell. But sent them to Jamaica, and then took them up to a coffee plantation, and they got to visit with the owner of the plantation. He took them through the whole process, how coffee, from the picking of the beans to the drying of the beans, to the sorting, to the roasting, all the way through the whole process. And then we had lunch for them in a coffee plantation, white tablecloth, mango tree,
Oh, wow.
and just
So
those
it's not
little
just
special touches.
I'm going to get you to the hotel and go
Yeah.
enjoy and see what
No.
you want to do. This is, what are your interests? We're going to put together a
Mhm.
package that is
I mean,
perfect for what you want
Right,
to do.
and it can be, if all they want to do is go sit on the beach, great.
Mm-hmm.
We can take care of that too. But if they want to do something else, if they want to do it, do a tour, do something unique, explore that hobby, that interest that they have, then that's what we do.
Nice.
And then a couple of years ago, this is one of the things that sets us apart, is that we had the travel agency, growing it, taking people different places.
Mm-hmm.
And my best friend came to me and says, you really need to start looking at security and safety. And so we started another small company, Traveling Aware, and we actually teach a safe travel course. And so we teach people how to stay safe when they're traveling somewhere, which 2 years ago, it was kind of a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not.
Right.
People and with everything that's going on in this world, how do people keep themselves safe? What happens, so that if something does happen, how do they react?
Right. And there's so many situations that people don't think about up front until you're told. And then when you're told, a lot of it's common sense.
Oh yeah.
That you teach. I've gotten to see one of your classes.
A couple of them, yes.
Yes. Very worth it. And one of the things I like, though, about what you teach with that is there are so many differences between the way our country does things and other countries.
Right.
You really delve into that and making sure not to expect the same kinds of rights that you have.
You are a guest of their country. You will abide by their laws.
Yes.
Just ask Lochte.
We'll see how that goes. That'll be an interesting one, filing that report. But I think one of the things that I found most interesting about it was if there's a natural disaster happening over there. We've seen the floods and the hurricanes that happen in different areas, even the terrorist attacks in France and stuff. And if you have to be taken to safety, I found it interesting that unless you register
with the STEP program,
they don't know you're there.
Right.
So they can't come help you.
Right. And you are on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, you are totally on your own when you're traveling.
So
the Marine Corps does not come in on a white horse and save you.
Right.
And a lot of people think, oh, I'm a U.S. citizen, the military is going to come in and get me. No, it doesn't happen.
So, and then I found it interesting that when they do take you to safety, they take you to the nearest safety point,
right,
and not necessarily back to the U.S.
Exactly.
So I really liked how you shared with people all the things that you need to do to be prepared, so that if something like that happens, then you have a plan. You have a plan. You can get through it. And then I didn't know that when you do have to be rescued and stuff like that, you have to pay for it.
That's right.
So,
you're on the hook.
So,
and it's going to be at the whatever the usual and customary fee is for that. So if you're getting on a jet, in city A going to city B, it's whatever that cost is, and it's not going to be your 6-month out fee.
Right.
It's going to be the immediate cost.
Yeah. So definitely worth taking.
Oh, yeah.
How did you get into all this? What journey led you to this whole travel planning and training that you do?
I've always loved to travel. I mean, I took my first international trip when I was in college.
Nice.
I'm a graduate of the University and College of Agriculture. And so we went down to South America, went to Venezuela, Costa Rica, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and saw the agricultural installations. And, of course, there was a little bit of rum involved and a few other things. Yeah, hey, college, yeah. Anyway, so that was where that's where my appetite got whetted to travel. And then I spent the next 25 years in an insurance industry and building up a couple different agencies, and finally just got bored and sold them off and said, let's start a travel agency.
Wow.
And had a partner that actually, she was a travel agent, and before we sold the insurance agencies, we were looking at ways of doing travel as an employee benefit.
Okay.
That was our specialty, was employee benefits. And could never just trying to figure out how to get that all worked out, and just finally decided, let's just focus and do travel and have a lot of fun with it.
Very cool.
And then, like I said, then after we built the travel agency, then we started teaching the safe travel.
Which you have a lot of background in.
Yeah, I do, and my partners, and yeah, I've got some fairly high thoroughbred horses that work with us.
So yes, some military background.
A lot of military background,
they
yes.
Know the ins and outs of traveling to different countries, and,
right,
and what really happens that people need to know about.
And the certification that I took for the safe travel was actually designed by the Air Force, and we did go through a kidnapping scenario, and that is unsettling to say the least.
Oh, I bet.
And to sit there and be interrogated by some of the top interrogators in our country, and just knowing what goes on.
Oh, I bet.
Because if you've never experienced something like that, then you have nothing to draw from when it does happen. If and when it does happen.
Yeah, you know, I teach self-defense too, and
Right.
that's always what I talk about when we practice the techniques. Is if you don't practice, if you've never been grabbed hard,
Right.
you've never been picked up, if you've never been dragged, you go into shock.
Right.
You don't know what to expect.
No, and
that's the same thing.
In the same way, if you're involved in that, if you're detained by the government of a foreign government, or if you are being kidnapped, we say, just stay in your bubble.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it is you can talk about. You don't venture outside that bubble. You just stay here and stay in this safe zone. And it's just, you got to keep practicing that. Because I've seen a lot of people, they want to go start blathering off and start talking about religion, talking about different things, and you just don't do that.
No, you do that in your circle.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, how long have you been building your travel business?
The travel agency, we started back in 2009 at the height of the Depression. Yeah, kind of not so.
Interesting time to start a business.
Maybe not the smartest time, but yeah, that's when it happened.
That's all right. It's done very well, though.
It's done well, yes.
What's your favorite story? The favorite thing that you've done with the travel business?
As far as where I've traveled, it's so cool to travel and to see things that you've read about in college or high school. I remember sitting in the temple in Machu Picchu, which Machu Picchu is in the cloud forest, and watching it rain. I mean, it was raining. We're sitting in this temple, and I had to look down to see the rain.
Wow.
Because I'm sitting in the cloud, and the rain is down below me.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, and to see, and then you think, okay, Machu Picchu, and you see these stones that are 10, 20, 30 tons in weight, and they didn't bring them from 3 feet away. They brought them from the top of one mountain down into the valley up to the top of the next mountain.
Wow.
And this is 500-600 years ago. It's mind-blowing.
It is. I've gotten to travel to Spain, and I've been to Mexico twice. I've studied Spanish, so kind of good places to go. And to see the buildings that were built way back when, I got to go to Chichen Itza in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
And the pyramids. And at that time, you could still climb up them.
Right.
But it's just mesmerizing.
Oh, yeah.
What they could do, and seeing the giant heads of the Olmecs, those giant statue heads. So.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, though, my favorite part of traveling is learning about the different cultures and how different people think and do things, and it's so interesting
and
to me.
Then you go over to Turkey, which now is not a great place to travel, but I was there several years ago, and going over to Ephesus, and having read the Bible and knowing some of the towns and things, and you can stand there in the ruins of Ephesus, and while now it's 5 miles to the ocean came right up to the city at that point in time. It was a seaport.
Oh, wow.
And you can almost feel the throngs of people coming up out of the seaport, walking down this colonnade, and just all the commerce that was going on. It just brings chills to you. Or you go over to into Athens and up to Corinth, and standing in the spot where Paul was put on trial in Corinth.
Wow.
It's just, it just pulls at your heartstrings.
Oh, I bet.
You can just feel it inside. And it's not so. It's places like that. It's like Machu Picchu, like Greece. Going over to Ireland, going to Germany, and where my ancestors came from. Even going to a coffee plantation and just seeing this cup of coffee that I drink every morning, where it comes from.
Exactly.
And what it goes through before it gets to my table. These are all just things that they just really play into what we're all about.
I love it.
Yeah, it's ready. I'm ready to go traveling again. Where are we going to go?
I think we got a list, don't we?
Oh yeah, I think we do have a bucket list.
For the business owners out there that are watching this, what was the biggest struggle you had in actually growing the business?
The biggest struggle is just always keeping a positive mental attitude, because there are a lot of times, when you're struggling, there may have, you get a sale, you feel good, then you don't get the next sale.
Mm-hmm.
You worked your heart out on this proposal for this client, and they go somewhere else, or they just don't go.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start getting a negative mental attitude. And that's the most things you struggle with, is keeping that positive attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that, it may not be good today, but tomorrow it's going to be better.
I'm sure it's a lot harder when you're first starting business.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When you're trying to build your confidence that what
Right.
you're doing is the right thing,
And actually, I mean, when you're first starting, you've almost got that pie in the sky. You know you're good. You know everything's going to go right. It's when you've had a little bit of success, and then it tails off, and then you got to bring it. Then you got to force yourself to get up of a morning, because it's so easy. Well, I lost that sale, so I'm gonna sleep in this morning. No, you got to get right back up. You got to go right back out there. You got to keep pushing, and push and push and push, and do the things that you need. Make sure that your website is good. Make sure that it is that people want to engage in it. Make sure that you got your social media together. Working on all those little things, and trying to understand all the changes that are going on. And those are the biggest things. It's that attitude.
That is huge. And I think you and I were talking earlier about surrounding yourself with like-minded people when
absolutely.
you're going through that is one of the best things you can do.
If you have somebody around you that's negative, that will suck the life right out of you. And I'm not saying get rid of the negative people, but know how to handle them and segregate them out, and put them off to the side.
Yep, limit your time with them.
Right, exactly.
Sure.
Because, they will infect you and cause your mind then to go in that direction. And when your mind's not in it, your business won't be either.
And it's the same thing that happens with positive. So when you surround yourself with positive people, you surround yourself with business owners and entrepreneurs.
Right.
You begin to get that positivity and that energy going within you.
And you want to, surround yourselves with successful people.
Yes. One of my favorite things that somebody told me is, if you're the smartest person in your group is too small.
Right.
If you're the most successful, your group is too small.
Because there's always somebody better, there's always somebody smarter, somebody I can learn something from everybody.
Yep. So when you surround yourself and you're not the smartest, you're not the most successful, you can learn from those people. So
That's right.
always have your bubble big enough to have people better than you.
Right. And don't be afraid to change. Because like I said, if that group gets to be too small, then go to a different group.
Yep.
Form a different group. So that you can keep up and keep pushing forward. And always, find yourself a good mentor.
Yeah.
Somebody that may be in the same industry, but that has a bigger.
Do you have some favorite mentors that have been there for you?
My favorite mentor her name's Tammy, and she's actually out of Tampa, Florida. And she's been in the travel industry for 30 some years.
Oh, wow.
And she's Greek, or Greek heritage. So the kind of fiery person she is, and she makes me do things that I say, why do I have to do this? And she says, do them. And she's right.
Nice.
And she's built her agency up to over $9 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And just, 6 people in her agency, and they do $9 million worth of business a year.
That's wonderful. How many team members do you have now?
I've got 3.
So you're on your way.
I'm on my way. We're growing.
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
And we just, it's good, and we just got to keep going.
What is your biggest advice for somebody out there growing their business?
Advice? I would probably say, it just know your business. Always, a lot of times, especially anymore with the information age that we live in, don't let it get you down when a client comes in and thinks that they know more than you. It's your responsibility to know more than them.
Nice.
Okay?
That is good advice.
And so know your product, know your service levels, know what it is, be confident in it. But then also, if they ask you a question, don't be afraid to say, let me get you that answer. Because, you can't, you can't possibly know everything, but you need to know enough
Mm-hmm.
to be professional about it.
Very good. I like that a lot, and that's something I learned growing up is if you don't know, find the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So know your resources
Right.
to find answers. And when you follow up with somebody, that builds so much trust
Mm-hmm.
in them.
Right.
They're much more likely to become your client.
Exactly right.
So yeah, absolutely. If you don't know it all, tell them you'll find the
Mm-hmm.
answer and follow up
Right.
quickly.
That's exactly right.
So awesome. How can people reach you?
They can give me a call. Our office number is 816-595-6000. They can go on the website, which is travelbenefitsbydesign.com.
Mm-hmm.
And for the security side, it's travelingaware.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
out.
Thank you.